Welcome to Coping with Kim, a space where vulnerability becomes strength and every voice matters. Here we face life's challenges one step at a time, and we do it together. Through shared stories, gentle truths, and steady hope, we move forward. This is where resilience is heard. Let's walk this path towards a brighter tomorrow. Hey everyone, I'm Kim, and today's episode is something personal, something real, something that honestly, in my opinion, affects every single one of us, and that is pain. I'm not talking about physical pain, I'm talking about emotional pain. The kind of pain we all experience just by being human. And let's face it, we are all human. I've been a hairstylist for 42 years, and being the type of person that is an open book, I share all my problems, which I have found opens the door for others to share theirs. I hope if I've experienced something and overcome, you don't have to. And I think people don't know that it is normal to feel pain. I don't know why they don't feel comfortable or normal if they've had things happen. I think that they feel that they're a failure. And probably most of that is because they never were taught to know that it's okay to fall down. It's how you get back up. It's nothing you should be embarrassed or ashamed about. If you lived it, that is your journey. And our journey is our story. Some of us, like me, I'm 62 years old. It's taken a long time and a lot of falling and getting back up to get to this place. And I'm just concerned with our children. I'm concerned that the kids are not learning at a young age because, let's face it, there's some pretty dysfunctional things going on. And even in a good home, people, if they weren't taught coping skills or how to deal, because it wasn't taught to them, how can you help that next generation if you never were taught? So I think we need to ask ourselves, why aren't we teaching kids how to cope with pain before it destroys their lives? So let's think about this, the reality that we don't talk about. If you're a human being, and we are human beings, you are going to deal with pain. That's a fact. Some of us feel it in different times of our lives, but we all are going to feel it, even from the beginning. When we're born, we cry. Everyone comes to try to help us, to try to figure out what's wrong, but we have facts because we've had many people born. We know that the things that you do when a newborn baby cries. We know that because we have knowledge. We get them comfortable. They go home. They evolve into young toddlers. And then we start expecting them to know what to do because they can communicate and they can talk and they can tell us more. But if they really don't understand what they're feeling, then I don't know if they're learning as much as we think they're learning. Sometimes we just expect them to figure it out, and I don't know, not everybody can just figure it out. I'm the type of person that needs it step by step. That helps me more than anything. I have got to understand why I need to do it that way. And I may have to ask 2 or 3 times. I was always taught the dumb question is the one you don't ask, not the one you ask. And when people, especially young children, don't figure it out, we act surprised as they start breaking down and showing us how they feel through lashing out or being hateful, or even as we evolve into older children, turning to drugs and crime and self-destruction. And we go, well, what's going on? Well, nobody knows, because that individual is the only one that knows what their pain is. And a lot of times we say, oh, you shouldn't feel like that. That's not really a reason to have pain, but that's just not fair. Everyone has the right to feel their pain. Now, how they deal with that pain is another story. So I just think it makes sense for us to come together, develop a curriculum by professionals that can be taught age appropriate without bringing religion or politics into it. And let's just see how that works out from kindergarten to 12th grade. I want to share with you all just a little bit more about my early childhood. I had a really strong, safe home life. My father was a minister. My parents were very positive, and even if we had financial problems or other problems, they didn't really go into that as much. They always were happy and positive. I was a person that voiced my opinion, and if you can imagine, saying some of the things I said, honestly, when I was asked in the church, they did a lot of praying for me. And my father didn't get on to me or say I was in trouble. He was like, okay, Kim, good for you for challenging, but I think you need to have a different approach. So I was taught that it was okay to feel what I felt. It was not okay to deliver it the way I delivered it. So I always felt free to be me. And, not everybody gets that privilege in life. And as we evolved and my father got into mental health and different things, and we kind of got out of the perfect bubble and into the real world, that's when I saw things changing for my family. And then they ended up divorcing, which at that time I didn't think caused my brother and I any real pain. I mean, that was just life. I think a lot of people were getting divorces, but in reality, we were kind of on our own emotionally. And we loved that. We could do whatever we wanted and in reason, but the focus wasn't on us as much. It was more on what my parents were going through. So I think that is when life became a reality, and some better coping skills might have helped both of us, but we didn't really know we needed them. So I think that we need to incorporate this in school. I think, look, come on, let's just talk about the school. I think we need to rethink some things. We teach math, reading, science, and I'm great with all that. But when do we teach emotional survival? Because we don't know when a family's going to go through something. We don't know when children are going to go through something. We don't even think about that very much. I mean, as we're evolving. And once again, people say, well, you need to learn that from home. And I'm trying to tell everyone that we are not learning it from home. Even in the greatest situations, we still aren't learning it from home. So I think that this needs to be taught in school. And when someone suggests we should teach this in school, or I suggest that, I get people saying to me, well, how do we do that without bringing politics or religion into it? Because, that is such a problem. Nobody wants anyone to teach politics or religion to their child. And you know what the answer is to that? We don't have to. We don't have to talk about politics or religion. We don't talk about that in other subjects, but we still learn and evolve. We just don't bring that into the equation. We bring facts. We teach skills and age appropriate, step by step, just like we do everything else. So I think that kids are more willing to learn things when they're innocent and they're young. And as they have to learn things repetitively, I think that's when it starts sticking. And you grow, and just like any other subject, you don't realize until it hits you somewhere, down the line, that you did remember that 2 + 2 is 4. You memorized that. You had to learn it through a test, or when algebra starts, or different science things, or PE things. You don't realize that you learned it until it's repetitively pounded in your brain, basically. And we don't pound things that we don't know are a fact. But guys, we are in 2025, and I'm telling you, we know some facts. So I think we should teach them these kind of things, like what emotions are. Do any of us ever learn what emotions are? And it's okay to feel what you feel. It is okay. Maybe tell some stories, factual stories, age appropriate, once again, of acting out what emotions are, the different kinds of emotions. I don't know. I'm not the mental health professional, but I know we got to do something different, because what we're doing obviously is not working in human behavior. Maybe what to do when we're angry, sad, or overwhelmed. Once again, mental health professionals, not your local water department people, not your local store clerk. People blow my mind how they go, well, who's going to teach this? Who's going to come up with this? Duh. The mental health professionals. We've been doing this for a long time. My dad was in mental health from the early 60s. I know things were put in place. I know there is so much more than we are sharing. And everyone has the right to learn this. Everybody. You shouldn't have to be in a financial category. And sometimes even those that are in the greatest financial categories didn't get their emotional learning skills of how to deal with. And that comes out in their later parts of their life. They may be the smartest person on the planet, but they can't do life, and it's obvious. And that's kind of sad, because we all should learn how to do life on what we know has worked for a fact and what we know doesn't work. We do have some knowledge on that. Like even as a young child, why it's not okay to hit your friend. And not just because I said so. They need to know in detail from the beginning why we have learned it's not okay to hit your friend. Then we build on it every year, just like we do in math and other subjects. It gets harder. So then our coping strategies, they need to get deeper. And, like I said, here's the truth. We don't say enough. Most parents weren't taught any of this either. So even the great parents, they aren't bad people. They just weren't given the tools. But we can break that cycle. We can make emotional education part of our normal curriculum from preschool to 12th grade. I'm telling you, I think we are missing an opportunity here. I mean, come on. Think about it. What if every kid in America had a toolbox for handling their pain before it got out of control? And knowing how that could shape their future to a better life or to a worse life. I'm telling you, I don't think most people would choose the bad life if they knew how it got bad. And what if kids knew how to express themselves, to get support, and to recognize when something was wrong before it turned into addiction, violence, or a crisis? Once again, it's not coming from the home in most cases. So we need to teach that. I don't think any parent, even if they're in a bad shape, would not want their kid to know how to evolve into a better human. I mean, we could save lives through this. We could literally change the direction of entire families, or at least the next generation of communities. I mean, even the country. Our behavior affects lots of things, even the outcome of our country and where it's headed. And all it takes is a plan, a seed being planted, somebody trying something, a factual, tested, respectful, step-by-step plan to teach coping. No religion, no politics, just truth, empathy, and action. And guys, once I had told you this earlier, I will say it again. I am 62 years old, and I still need structure. I need step-by-step guides sometimes. So why would any of us expect a child to figure it out on their own? Let's stop waiting for kids to fall apart before we help them. Let's start building them up from the beginning. And I want to thank you for being here with me today. If this hit home for you, share it. Start the conversation. Because healing doesn't happen in silence. It happens in connection. So until next time, take care of yourself and teach someone else how to do the same. And be kind. I'm telling you, kindness goes a long way. Sometimes we just have to be that example. If someone's hateful to us, maybe we need to just be nice to them because we really don't know what the other person is going through.